Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission today is, well, pretty straightforward.
We're cutting through all the noise.
All the viral noise, the political back and forth around a single event to get you the core arguments, the context, and, the real fallout.
And today we are diving deep into an incident that, it just became an instant flashpoint across India.
We're talking about what's been called the Patna Hijab incident.
It's really a textbook case. It shows how one single action caught on a short video clip can just explode.
Explode into a huge national debate about everything from dignity and consent
to religious freedom and really the acceptable limits of public authority.
That's it exactly. And this deep dive is for you, the learner, who needs to get past the headlines and understand why this mattered so much.
Right. What were the fundamental conflicts it really exposed?
So we've synthesized reports from major outlets, The Times of India, India Today, Aaj Tak, and we've looked at the social media trends, the political commentary.
And at the heart of it all, you have two key figures.
Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and a young woman, a doctor.
And it's so important to remember from the start, this was not some quiet, private moment.
No, not at all. This all happened under the full glare of cameras, which is absolutely key to understanding why it had such massive reverberations.
Okay, so let's get into the facts. The ground zero.
The key moment, the one everyone saw on video, took place during an official ceremony. They were distributing appointment letters.
And these were for newly recruited AYUSH doctors.
Right, and maybe just a quick pause on that for anyone unfamiliar. AYUSH stands for Ayurveda, Yoga and Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy.
India's traditional systems of medicine. So these are professionals, new doctors.
And they're getting their official government letters. This is a massive high-stakes moment in their careers.
And the setting itself adds that crucial layer of context.
Where was it?
The Bihar Secretariat in Patna, a very formal government event.
So a place where you'd expect, a certain decorum, a certain protocol to be followed.
Absolutely. And this is where the sequence of events went viral.
As the chief minister, Nitish Kumar, is on stage interacting with the doctors, handing out these letters.
The video shows him approach one young professional, the doctor.
And she's wearing a hijab, which is partially covering her face.
And the sources all confirm what happens next. He appears to reach out.
And physically pull the hijab down a little bit.
Just enough to expose her face fully.
Now, the initial reports and the defense that came later suggested a reason for this.
They said it was about the need for clear identification.
Right. That this was a critical moment for official documentation. A photograph was being taken or maybe an ID check.
Something that required her face to be fully visible. That was the justification offered.
But regardless of the reason, the immediate impact was, it was profound.
You can see it so clearly in the clip. It was the first thing people reacted to.
The doctor looks visibly uncomfortable, startled almost.
And this entire interaction, 2 seconds maybe?
Maybe. But it was captured, it was uploaded, and within hours, it was just dominating social media feeds.
Trending hashtags, viral shares everywhere. The immediate reaction was just this wave of digital outrage.
That visceral, immediate feeling of seeing a personal space being violated.
That sends us straight into the first set of reactions, the critical voices.
Because for them, for the critics, the chief minister's intent, it almost immediately became irrelevant.
It was all about the impact of the action itself.
And we saw political criticism ignite almost instantly.
Of course, leaders from opposition parties, particularly Congress and the RJD.
The Rashtriya Janata Dal, the main rival party in Bihar politics.
They were incredibly quick to seize on this.
And they didn't just call it a mistake or a gaffe.
No, the language is much stronger. They call the act profoundly inappropriate, disrespectful.
What's interesting to me is how the criticism went beyond just political point scoring.
It really landed squarely on these bigger issues of autonomy and power.
Opposition leaders framed it as being paternalistic.
Yes. They argued that you have a powerful state leader who is physically asserting control over a young woman professional.
And in a way that just would never be tolerated in another context.
And that's where the arguments from women's rights activists really started to gain traction.
This was never just a simple dress code issue. The public reaction was all about that violation of personal space.
And consent.
And consent, absolutely.
Their key argument, which was reported widely, was pretty robust. First, a woman's clothing.
Especially religious clothing.
Is fundamentally a personal choice,
Yep.
and it's protected. But second, and this is the critical part,
no public authority, no matter how high their rank is, has the right to physically interfere with that.
It just crosses a very clear, non-negotiable line of respect.
I think that point about the power differential is so important.
It's immense.
You have the head of the state government acting physically towards a brand new employee. The coercion there, even if it's unintentional, is palpable.
And that raises a really important question that commentators kept bringing up.
Which is what?
How free is that young doctor to actually object in that moment?
Right. Her silence, her discomfort, it's a direct result of that imbalance of power.
Exactly. And this gets us into that deeper ethical conversation.
The difference between intent and impact.
Journalists and commentators were really meticulous about this. They argued that even if you grant the CM the most benign intent,
Let's say he was genuinely just worried the photo wouldn't be valid for the official records.
even then, that specific localized intent doesn't just erase the systemic impact of, public humiliation or the feeling of violated bodily autonomy.
Intent is internal. Impact is external.
And visible to everyone, including millions of people online. When you're in a position of such high public authority, your actions are just held to a completely different standard.
So the discomfort caused, whether he meant it or not, gets amplified exponentially.
And it immediately gets tied to these bigger systemic issues of gender and religious respect.
And the potential impact on her, on the individual, was reportedly severe.
Now, we do have to be careful here and stipulate this was not officially confirmed by the government.
But several digital news outlets reported that the doctor involved was so emotionally affected by this whole thing
The public nature of it, the viral spectacle.
that she actually reconsidered joining government service at all.
If that's even partially true, it's just a devastating illustration of the consequences.
A single moment of perceived disrespect could derail a highly qualified professional's entire career.
And it immediately undermines that fragile trust you need between young professionals and their leadership.
But of course, in any deep dive, we have to give full weight to the other side.
We need to look at the counter-narrative, the defense.
So let's transition now to those alternative viewpoints, the arguments made by the chief minister's supporters. It's essential for a balanced picture.
Yes, because this debate was far from one-sided. Supporters of Nitish Kumar argued very strongly on social media and on regional news channels.
That interpreting this as a malicious act of disrespect was just fundamentally wrong.
They pointed to the chief minister's character and his long history in politics, arguing there was no malice there.
Their main argument really centered on practicality and institutional context.
They suggested the act was purely functional. An attempt to ensure proper identification for that required official photographs,
So they framed it as him being maybe clumsy or a bit hasty.
but not actively seeking to offend her religious or personal sensibilities.
They also pointed out that government ceremonies, especially for appointments like this, often have very strict requirements.
For clear visibility, for documentation. The argument being that the action, while maybe poorly executed, had a legitimate bureaucratic reason behind it.
And then, and this is a crucial part of the defense, there was a significant political framing.
Right. Supporters suggested the video was selectively edited,
And then amplified.
specifically by political rivals like the RJD in Congress, who wanted to exploit a momentary lapse to discredit a long-serving chief minister.
They were essentially arguing that the controversy was manufactured for political gain.
Which is the classic social media problem, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
But let's dig into that a little.
Okay.
Is the argument that the clip was selectively edited really a strong enough defense when the physical action itself,
Which is undeniable.
right, which is undeniable, still constitutes a violation of someone's personal space?
That is the critical tension, isn't it? Supporters would counter that by appealing to his long political history.
His whole tenure of governance.
Exactly. They were urging the public not to judge his character or his intent based on one short, decontextualized viral moment.
Arguing that his record shows respect for diversity.
So what we're left with are two really fundamentally opposing narratives.
Both based on interpretation. One narrative is focused purely on the immediate perceived violation of dignity and autonomy.
And the other is focused on the context, the bureaucratic need, and what they saw as political manipulation.
Okay, so let's zoom out. Let's get to the bigger picture here.
What does this all mean when we move past the specific players in Patna and connect this to the bigger questions it raises for you, the learner, about modern governance?
This is where we really distill the core conflict. This whole episode forces us to confront the power dynamics that are just inherent in public spaces.
Especially in a democracy as diverse as India.
The fundamental question is this: Where, precisely, is the line drawn between public authority, the highest official in the state, and the personal, professional autonomy of an individual citizen?
And maybe more importantly, what kind of engagement is appropriate?
Especially from public officials when they're dealing with women professionals in these high-stakes official settings.
We're talking about highly qualified doctors entering state service. That interaction has to reflect mutual respect and professionalism.
Not paternalistic control.
So the central dilemma here, if you strip away all the political color, is how do you balance bureaucratic necessity
Like needing clear identification for a photo.
with the constitutional guarantee of dignity and personal choice?
Can intent, even a well-meaning one, ever justify an action that causes such public discomfort or a perceived violation of personal space and religious expression?
Legal experts who were quoted in the national media, they used this incident to bring the whole discussion back to some foundational principles.
They consistently reminded people that dignity and consent are not values you can just wave away.
They can't be negotiated, regardless of a person's rank or the public setting. The moment you take a government appointment should be a celebration.
A moment of respect, not discomfort.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this incident really serves as a crucial modern test for public leadership.
Absolutely. In the digital age, a leader's physical action isn't confined to the room anymore.
It becomes an internationally scrutinized piece of data.
And that forces leaders to confront the personal, visceral impact of their physical actions in a way that traditional media just never required before.
That really is the essential takeaway from all the sources. This isn't just a political skirmish.
It's a reflection of the extraordinary sensitivity and, frankly, restraint that's now required of public leadership.
Especially in a diverse country where attire, religion, and identity are constantly intersecting in professional life.
The incident really acts as a powerful barometer for how power and personal space are handled at the very highest levels of governance.
And while opinions may differ sharply on the chief minister's specific intent, was it clumsiness and overreach?
The overwhelming consensus across the media and civil discourse seems to be that respect, consent, and personal dignity, they have to remain the non-negotiable bedrock of public life.
So as you move forward and maybe evaluate similar incidents or viral clips, here's the provocative thought we want to leave you with, and this comes from the most insightful analysis in our sources.
When events like this happen, we have to move beyond the simple binaries.
Beyond just outrage versus political defense, we must focus instead on using the incident as a critical benchmark.
Evaluating whether the actions reflected the concrete values of consent and dignity that we as citizens demand to see in our public life and in our leadership.
Stay informed and stay thoughtful.
We'll see you next time for the next deep dive.